Hey, so I decided to make this video because I was jacking myself off and cramming on my pants to my friends about Windows 11 that I was trying it out and it's cool and it's shit on this and whatever. And my friends were like, "Hey, Artificial, why don't you make a video instead?" And yeah, I took the hint. They were kind of telling me to shut up and vent somewhere else. And that's what I did. That's what I did. That's why I'm here. And I hope this video is useful for you. So we'll be checking out, this is a surface level review, if you will, of Windows 11. Hopefully this will help you decide if you should move to Windows 11, move to Linux, move to, let's say, if you want to go back to Windows 7 and be a smarter person by protecting yourself. I heard some people are doing that instead of upgrading or changing to Linux. Anyway, hopefully this video will help you decide especially if you're like me, that like you're like a fucking crack addict, you're scratching your arms to try the new fancy software. But I mean, this will help. This hopefully will stop you from messing up your computer or whatever, or wasting time trying testing this thing out. So I will do this. I will do this for you instead. Let's start with the most obvious thing. Let's start with the most obvious thing, which is, and you may have already noticed, the taskbar. It looks a lot different, and if you have used a Linux distro like Pop! OS or Ubuntu, the most popular ones, you may notice that the taskbar has a lot of similarities with it. For example, this little the dock thing where the apps are found. Yeah, it looks ripped off from fucking Linux. It's the same shit. Same with this little dock doohickey, where I will call it a dock. I don't know how to call this artifact. And you can find your multimedia setting here for your player, like YouTube, for example. I will get to it in a bit. And your other buttons to change your Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, all that stuff. Your volume is here, and I just killed your eardrums. Everything is here, just like in Linux, like you would find on Linux. You will notice that the stupid little speech bubble with notifications is fucking gone. You can disable it. Thank Lord, I fucking hated it. Nobody used it. It was just full of Discord notifications that you could see here anyway. So I'm glad it's fucking gone. You can disable it anywhere, anytime you fucking want. And now you have your little calendar here and your little button to access your desktop here. Wonderful job. I mean, it's a good thing that they're getting inspired by Linux for us plebs who can't change, because I can change. I will get to that in a bit. I will explain this. Maybe at the end I will explain you like it. Well, anyway, yeah, the start menu. Now you will notice that mine is a little bit different because I'm using this thingy. This it's called Start 11. It's this little app customization thing by Stardock. This is not a sponsored video. I wish it was, but and not yet. Unfortunately, I have to suck up or I have to suck it up or kiss their ass a little bit more. I don't know. But when it's sponsored, you will be the first to know because I will be bragging about it probably. Yeah, this will allow you to change Windows 7 to your start menu to Windows 11, Windows 7, whatever the fuck you want. Their modern little style here. Let me show you the normal one, which is this one. As you can see, it's a little bit cleaner and it's less shit than what we got in Windows 8, and of course, less shitty than what we got in Windows 10, which is great. You will notice that you have this little type search bar where you can type shit, and if you have this enabled, you can click enter, and it will take you to Edge, and you can browse the web immediately. Nifty. Okay, let me turn that back on. Yeah, there we go. So another thing, speaking of getting inspiration from the open source community, and maybe this is a little bit of a pet peeve, but you will notice that some of the icons, well, not some, most of the icons have a similar aesthetic than what you will find on Sorin OS, for example, like minimalistic look. I like it, but I don't like that Windows or Microsoft is copying. Yeah, it's copying Linux so blatantly again. Now, another great thing. This is what convinced me to start using or to test Windows 11. Your settings menu. It's a lot cleaner and it's a lot easier to navigate than the fucking maze we had on Windows 8 and Windows 10. It was a fucking mess to use. You had to fucking travel basically do a fucking journey just to get some settings done, your power settings, for example. And now everything is here, similar to, again, to Linux, or similar to Windows 7's control panel. It's all neat and here by category. And a great thing, I will get into a few of them. For example, the apps settings. You can, of course, change the uninstall thing here, and you can get your default apps. I will explain this in a minute because it took me a few hours to figure it out. Maybe I'm too dumb, but hopefully this will make you look less dumber. So the default app, it's no the default apps menu. It's no longer like those what do you call it? It's no longer like Windows 10 where you had like default browser, default image previewer, default cocksucker. No, it's not. It's no longer like that. Instead, you have this. Well, you can set default by applications. For example, here Brave browser, you can set it to open HTML files, HTML files, PDFs, blah 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 blah. You can even leave them in blank if you don't know what the fuck they are. And yeah, that's great. That's wonderful. You can even choose defaults by format or file type. For example, I'm here and I will type JPEG. Now it's a little bit sloppy, I guess, because it's still in development. Did I type? No, I didn't. JPEG. And it's looking for them. Visual Studio JPEG. Come on. Oh, JPEG. There we go. And for example, I set it up to image glass, and I can set it up to whatever the fuck I want. But I'm using image glass because it's an open source. It's an open source image viewer. That way you won't get tracked by Microsoft or whatever. So that's that, and it's pretty nifty, but it takes a while to figure out. It takes a while to change some of these. It's a little bit of patience. Now, if you're doing like me, I upgraded my machine from Windows 10 to Windows 11, and that made some programs, some registries do not be carried over. For example, Brave browser didn't show up at first here. So what you have to do, and for many apps, you have to pretend install them like you download even if it's up to date. Just download the executable file, the installer, and let it run again. For Brave, it ran for a few minutes, and then it figured out it was installed, and it was like, oh, I have nothing else to do here. So yeah, I didn't lose anything. Everything was back to normal, but it made Google. What the fuck? I'm dumb today. It made Microsoft say, "Oh, there's this browser here. I'm gonna put it in the list here, so it's inside detected." So yeah, it worked, and hopefully it works for you. If not, what you can do, like with JPEG, you either open it, so you either open the program and let it run, so it shows up here, or yeah, it will ask you to select the file you want to open it, and that's how you get it done. I mean, there's work sound for everything. Another great thing I like, this is what convinced me to try Windows 11, the privacy and security settings. Right here, you can select, for example, if you remember, or if you've done Windows 10 installation from scratch, you will notice that if you're not careful, there's a little bit of a little bit of information about my advertising ID, my Cortana and shit. And if you're not careful or you don't give a shit, it will be enabled by default, and you're fucked, you're screwed. You can change that setting ever again. But here in Windows 11, you actually get the choice to change that on the fly. Like, for example, disable my advertising ID, whatever. Cortana here in speech recognition. Fuck you, Cortana. I don't want you here. Fuck you. Diagnostics and feedback. Turn that shit off. I don't want you to spy on me. And same, you can give applications or programs permissions to access certain things. For example, locations. Unfortunately, you can't disable completely your location. You still give them like an approximate IP location from what I've heard, but you can disable the precise location, the location history, for example. Another more precise location data, you can disable that for apps and to be sent to web pages. That's wonderful. I appreciate it. And same goes with camera, similar to Android. You can change that to camera, microphone, blah, 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 blah. Everything it can be done here. And that's great. I think that's wonderful. It takes a little bit of weight from your back, but it takes you a lot at the same time. You need to be there like one by one. But it's freedom. You get the choice to decide, and I appreciate it. And finally, Windows Update. Now, if you're like me and you're probably bitching about Windows 10 updating every fucking second, and you want to turn it off, and it tells you I need to fucking update, and it takes like an hour to turn itself off after you left the office, for example. I don't know. So this one, you can pause the updates up to 5 weeks. You can tell them, no, I don't want to update. I don't want you to update. Fuck you. And it will tell you, updates have been paused until that fucking time. And you can enable it again, resume updates. And whenever there's an update, it won't bother you like other, like Windows 10, like, we need to update, fuck you, I'm updating myself. No, it won't be annoying you with that. It will ask you for permission until you get in the Windows update menu. It will tell you like, hey, I need to update. Is that cool? Yeah, it's cool. Install. And then, should I restart now? And you tell it yeah, or you do it in the end when you're done with your shit. So that's great. I mean, yeah, more power to. I mean, not more power to Microsoft, but I do appreciate the changes here. That's what I meant. No more power to Microsoft. Fuck you, Microsoft. Now let me check my notes again. Wait, yeah. So many people like me were bitching about. I don't know if you heard about this. That supposedly for a fresh installer to update to Windows 11, you had to have a Microsoft ID linked to it forever, and you had to be online all the time. I'm happy to tell you that that was partially true and partially lie. You don't need a Microsoft account to do a fresh install, from what I've heard. But if you come from Windows 10 with a local account like I do, uh, you have no problem. You don't need any account. You don't need to link it to anything. Even if you are doing like a fresh installation, you can do is get a dummy email from those privacy websites that give you temporary emails. Do a dummy account. Use it to set up your Microsoft account, whatever your Microsoft Windows 11, whatever, and then just cancel the unlink it. And yeah, that should that should clean you for many profiling and spying on you. Yeah, that's wonderful. I appreciate it. You're getting a lot of choices here. That's great. I heard you can even pick what kind of account you want to use. For example, if you use it for Xbox things, you can have your Xbox account, your other thing account, for individual things, and I think it's wonderful if you use that. I don't recommend it because I don't like being spied on or whatever. But yeah, that does the trick just perfectly. In case, for example, like if you're a petty little bitch like me and don't want to be spied on again, you still want to use your Microsoft Windows, whatever, you can use this little software piece. I do recommend this one. This one is perfect for even newbies because it disables services that track your activity, and that of course consumes power from your machine. Its resources being used, and by disabling them, you first of all save a lot of it will make your machine run a little bit more smoothly, and most importantly, you don't feed Microsoft with telemetry data. And this one is great for newbies because it has some recommended settings here. For that way, you know that they won't fucking break your machine. Your things will work perfectly, and yeah, that's great. If you're a little bit more tech savvy, and you want to try something a little bit more, let's say, a little bit more powerful, you can use this. I heard people having success with this one, Windows 10 Deeploader. It's similar in a sense that to this one, that it kills, well, yeah, that it kills services, but this one goes a little bit deeper. It fucking deletes and uninstalls annoying apps like Microsoft Teams, all those fucking apps that came with Windows 10, and the Xbox stuff if you don't use it. That fucking gets nuked immediately thanks to this amazing piece of software from this amazing group of people. So yeah, but it gets deleted. So if you don't know what you're doing, you might screw up. So this is not a tutorial. Don't come to me saying, "Artificial, you broke my fucking computer, you fucking jerk." that's on you, buddy. I'm just recommending this, but in the end, it's up to you to use it. If you don't know what you're doing, stick to this one. This one just disables them. So that way, if something breaks or you see something weird, you can just reset it back to normal, and that will be perfect. So before we continue, if you want more details about Windows 11, if you're still deciding and you want a more in-depth look, I recommend you to get these channels a look. For example, explaincomputers.com. He has Windows 11, the good, the bad, and the ugly. It goes a little bit more in depth than what I'm doing. And the same goes for Rob Braxman, the privacy tech guy. I think he goes by that name as well, but he's Rob Braxman. He did an amazing video about Windows 11 as a private oriented software. I I actually watched his video, and that's how I started to get interested in Windows 11. Because at first I was like, it's a spyware, I don't want to try it. But I can change to Linux, and yeah, I told you I would get to that in a bit. If you're like me, you have some software, some games. I don't know if I mentioned this previously. Maybe I'm repeating myself, but I will do it anyway. I have, for example, Mabinogi. If you try to play Mabinogi on Linux, it won't work. It won't work on Wine. It won't work on Steam's what's the name? A Proton, I believe. And yeah, it won't work there. And you get the risk of being banned for if you run the game using a VM, a virtual machine. So I don't want to risk it getting banned. I mean, and also some other editing software, for example, Adobe Premiere Pro. I'm a fucking normie. Yeah, I don't know how to use other open source software to edit. Maybe I should learn that. But until then, I'm stuck with Windows 11. And until Nexon fixes Mabinogi to run on Proton or whatever, I'm stuck with Windows. But if you get the chance, if you don't have any software to lose, for example, if you use your computer for homework, for like simple stuff, for job, for example, for Word documents, you can totally change to Linux and use Zorin OS to begin the change. You can use LibreOffice and stuff. And that's if you are if you don't if you want to try Linux, you should do that. Should you move to Windows 11? That's the important question. That's why you're here. Again, if you have nothing to lose, you can go try. You can go try Linux. I think it's way better than this, because of all the spyware and telemetry that it's being sent through your computer to Microsoft servers. So I do recommend that you change to Linux again. I'm sorry I'm repeating myself, but if you can't, should you move to Windows 11? I recommend that you wait at least 4 months, because there's a lot of glitching, and while editing some videos, even while I was working in this video, my computer fucking crashed, and yeah, it crashed. I got a few blue screens of that while editing some videos, and while working on this video, I had to restart my computer, and it got stuck at 7% on an update, and yeah, it was annoying. So I wait for those tiny glitches to get patched, and yeah, just wait for that to get patched. And but if you're like me, like you're itching to try the new software, you want to feel it, you want to test it, right? Fuck it, just you can try it if you want to have fun with it. It's not about software. Again, it's better than Windows 10. If you're a little bit more tech oriented, or you want to experience the software, yeah, go ahead and do it. Have fun with it. But yeah, I mean, it's not a bad software. Aside from, I mean, I told you how to get away with deleting and uninstalling things. And yeah, hopefully this helps you decide if you want to try Windows 11. If you don't want to, if you want to move back to Windows 7, whatever. It's up to you. This is my little review thing. I hope you had fun. I hope it was useful, and I hope to see you again soon. I don't know what else to say. More open source, good. Try if you're curious. Before we go, before you try Windows 11, and again you have nothing to lose, I recommend that you try Zorin OS, Pop OS, or Ubuntu. Ubuntu and Pop OS are my top picks, because they're the most popular out there, and you get a more diverse support community than Zorin OS. Zorin OS is a little bit more tiny, more niche. If you have a spare hard drive, you test Linux, give it a go. Have fun with it. If you didn't like it, if your programs can't run there, you can go back to Windows 10 and just hop to Windows 11 in a few months when this thing gets fixed. So yeah, that's my recommendation for today. And happy whatever the fuck you're celebrating whenever you're watching this. I don't know what the fuck. Anyway, have fun, and I'll see you again next time.